Thank you, Scott. And can my esteemed panelists join? Are you guys on? Okay, great. So obviously, 10 years ago, the TV was a dumb device that was connected to a cable box or an over-the-air antenna or a DVD player, and all it did was receive content. Today, the TV has grown to be something much more, and there are probably many homes in America where the smart TV hub is a more important place to surf for information than a cable box is. To talk about the developments in the smart TV platform, we have representation from 4 major OTT platforms: Samsung, Roku, LG, and VIZIO. Thanks, guys, for joining us. To kick this off, can each of you go through and quickly introduce yourself and talk a little bit about the platform you represent? So Adam, why don't you go first?
Sure, happy to. And thanks so much for CIMM for getting us all together and Howard for hosting. Adam Bergman, I'm the Vice President of National Ad Sales for VIZIO Ads. VIZIO Ads is a component of the platform business we've stood up over the past few years here at VIZIO, obviously a household name in smart televisions and soundbars. Our platform business encompasses our content business relationship with programmers, content producers, and distributors, our media and advertising business, which is the group that I oversee, and then, of course, our data business. I think everyone here is familiar with our ACR product, Inscape, and the role it's played in the marketplace and how we've continued to evolve that. At VIZIO, we are a consumer brand first. We continue to invest and innovate towards the best possible consumer experience on our platform. SmartCast, our unique operating system, our unique streaming experience. By continuing to innovate in that consumer experience, our ownership of our hardware, we own our own operating system, we own our own data. We're going to continue to build a fantastic consumer experience, which allows us to then generate unique and exclusive ad opportunities for brands and agencies. So we've stood up an ad business. We've continued to reevaluate and evolve our data business. And with a sizable percentage of the smart TV marketplace over the last year and change, we've been welcomed wholeheartedly by the brand and agency community.
Great, thanks. Dan.
Awesome, thanks, Howard, and good to see everybody here. My name is Dan Robbins. I lead the ad marketing and partner solutions team at Roku, which includes our marketing, measurement, performance analytics, events, design, and creative teams. Roku is America's #1 TV streaming platform. We're the largest TV operating system in North America. And our mission for the last decade has been to make TV streaming easier, simpler, and more convenient, not only for consumers, but also for marketers and for content owners. About half of our audience doesn't have pay TV. And in the ad side of our business, our focus has really been to help marketers make the most in the shift to TV streaming and to start to help them understand the ways to make the most of streamer-first marketing.
Great, thanks. Justin.
Hey, I'm Justin Evans. I head up analytics and insights globally at Samsung Ads. Samsung Ads is an advanced television platform that leverages hundreds of millions of devices, TVs, and mobile devices to be an advertising platform for clients, for advertisers and agencies to use one-to-one targeting and measurement tactics to advance their marketing goals. The company is really evolved in a multi-tier structure where our services business, as we call it, focuses on acquiring and supplying content, as well as the user experience on all those devices and the ability to provide brands and agencies that access that I referenced.
Great. And last but not least, Matt.
Could be a lot of barking today, Howard. Sorry.
Sorry, no worries. Matt, go ahead.
Hi guys, my name is Matt Durgin. I am based in New Jersey. I'm responsible for our North America business team for Smart TV. Similar to the other panelists, our Smart TV business team takes care of our content relationships and also takes care of our advertising platform. And so Basically what that means is my team is constantly working on our relationships with our content partners, and that includes our unique service, LG Channels, which has video advertising. And this unique reach of LG's, both in display ads and video ads, is monetized in various ways. And so our team takes care of both the content relationships and the advertising relationships, which perform those functions. So it's a pleasure to be here today, and thank you for inviting me.
So thanks. So maybe just a toss up to each of you, and whoever wants to jump on this, what differentiates the inventory that you have to go to market? I mean, you each have relationships with the apps that are on your platform. You each have content that you've acquired. You know, so should the market see inventory as sort of a equal variable across all of you, or where do you see the inventory you have to sell being a differentiator? Who wants to take it?
I mean, I could kick us off. You know, from an ad perspective, what LG brings to the table is unique reach. It's, you know, the capability of reaching the LG audience is increasingly difficult for advertisers today, especially in the time of COVID, where so much of viewing has shifted into streaming. You need to work directly with platforms like LG and the other panelists in order to reach their audience. LG's audience is largely an attractive audience for advertisers because it does have higher discretionary income. We do compete aggressively in higher price point TVs such as OLEDs. And if you want to reach that audience on their way into a streaming experience, you have to work with the platform in order to get access to that group. Great.
Who else has a perspective on that question?
Yeah, I'm happy to build on that from the VIZIO perspective, right? I think one similar, you know, to Matt's point, you know, you're starting to see unique audiences by platform, right? You know, when we look at VIZIO and our SmartCast, smart televisions, only about 6 to 7% of our TVs actually have a third-party streaming media stick plugged in. So it means that our customer base is using our streaming service as their first stop in content viewership, not unlike the other businesses represented here and the other panelists. We own our own fast service, Watch Free, right? A free streaming service with premium content. And, you know, when merchandising a TV, we say, you bought this TV, it comes with free TV, right? So from an advertiser perspective, similar to the comment Matt made, you know, we sit with some of the largest spenders in market and we help them analyze their television schedule and say, look, even at your heaviest weight, you're still missing 30, 40, even 50% of our audience by running a linear only schedule. So we help advertisers access unique streaming inventory on our platform and our owned positions. And then taking it a step further into integration and sponsorship opportunities, right? How can we align brands with content they care about, getting them access to audiences they're interested in? I think that's where we're seeing a huge amount of growth, right? Yes, absolutely. A majority of our relationships are, you know, we're running 15s and 30s across streaming content, but also helping brands find ways to integrate in unique ways with consumers when they're in their search and discovery process.
Great. So Dan, Roku, you know, made a major strategic move about 18 months ago when you acquired DataZoo. What does owning DataZoo give you that enhances the capability that you might only have had if you were just smart TV and an internet connected device company?
Sure. So Roku launched OneView, which is our ad buying platform built for streaming last year. And that came off the heels of our acquisition of DataZoo. And I think there's really three important things there. The first is about scale and reach, which Matt and Adam were talking about. OneView reaches 4 in 5 homes in America. And the second key piece is about bringing the data and the measurement tools, the latter of which is, you know, super important to our conversation today, not just to Roku, but also to the broader ecosystem. So Roku has a direct consumer relationship with all of our streamers, and we've used that to launch our measurement partner program, which now includes almost a dozen third-party measurement providers. We've used that to become the first platform to launch Nielsen guarantees in TV streaming, and we're now bringing that across the ecosystem. And so that includes buying ads not just on the Roku platform, but also buying ads on a VIZIO or an LG, a desktop, a mobile, and so forth. The third kind of key thing is really being able to reach those cord cutters at scale and to also be able to do so in a way that drives performance metrics. And so a lot of the brands that are using OneView are doing so hands-on keyboard and optimizing towards a cost per acquisition. So for instance, Friendly TV, which is a large or a growing virtual MVPD, found that OneView drove about 65% better cost per acquisition on return on ad spend than a large social platform. And they're doing that by looking at true incrementality measurement across their entire buy. So our goal with OneView going forward is to try to make it as simple to drive that scale and to reach cord cutters across screens.
Got it. Thanks. Justin, Samsung got some great press end of last year for attribution work that you're doing in the auto category space. Could you describe for the audience exactly what you've built?
Yeah, we launched a solution we call Samsung Measurement in December. And it really arose from the problems that we were hearing from clients, that they were challenged to measure television full stop. But when it came to measuring linear and streaming together, they were even more challenged. But it is a growing issue of urgency for them, as we see in our data. 25% of the audience that we serve just no longer watching linear television. So using linear and streaming together is an imperative, but how to measure it. So we teamed up with Cadillac and Polk to see if we could solve this for automotive advertisers, specifically focusing on vehicle sales, buy rates, and in-target reach. And what we've been seeing is that we're able to quantify a lot of the intuition that we and the agency and the brand all had going into this, that we're seeing linear as a highly effective tool at driving broad reach and driving sales among heavy and medium television watchers. And we're seeing streaming media as a really effective complement to that in reaching light linear audiences and cord cutters. And furthermore, we're seeing that the addressability, the targetability of OTT is not only driving up buy rates, but it is doing so by increasing the in-target rate. We're seeing that the targets that clients choose are effective, they're working, their buy rates are often double what we see at the national level. And so when you add in more of the targeted one-to-one streaming media, you get greater sales effect. So we're trying to tie this off for the clients that are entering the program with really actionable and simple ways to optimize coming out of each campaign, to dial up each one of these levers with some simple recommendations that we can track and benchmark over time. Great,
thanks, Justin. So coming after our panel, we're going to hear a lot about the WFA measurement initiative. And one of the things that initiative was trying to solve for was walled gardens. And it seems like one of the challenges we have 4 new walled gardens represented on this panel. I'm curious, when you think about that, and obviously you're all blessed with great first-party data to run your ad business, to optimize, to measure. You've all talked about measurement. What role do you see traditional research providers like Nielsen or ComScore or companies like TVision in helping the market learn how to adopt your platform, connected TV as overall, smart TV platform overall? What role do you see for them? Who wants to start?
Sure, I can start. I think as an open platform, we firmly believe that there's a strong role for third-party measurement, not only on the planning side, but also on the measurement and the attribution side. And there's a few kind of key components of that. The first has been making what we call our RIDO, or our Roku ID for advertisers, available to third-party measurement providers across reach, across measuring brand effectiveness, and across attribution and incrementality. The second kind of key piece there is to continue to build industry standards, as you mentioned, Howard, around interoperability and making sure that there's like-to-like measurement across platforms. The third kind of key focus for us has been figuring out how do we also look for similar metrics across screens. And I mentioned earlier, Nielsen guarantees that we rolled out several years ago. We've also been continuing to move that forward in looking at other ways that we can measure linear, TV, desktop, and mobile side by side. And so to me, the most important thing is that, and I think this is a great forum for this, is that we continue to figure out the ways that we can build the sort of apples to apples view and solve for some of those challenges around over frequency, around attribution, and around incrementality.
Great. Who else has a point of view on that?
Yeah, in the Samsung platform, we're serving ads to hundreds of millions of devices in the US in TV and mobile, and we're blessed to have that data set to give our clients access to for insights. So in a way, one of the questions that I think is interesting about the syndicated research players is, what role do they play alongside the role of proprietary data?
Yeah.
And the third-party data plays a very important role to guarantee transactions, to provide a shared version of reality across multiple partners, and of course, to project to a national population. And those are three really important use cases. The proprietary data, by contrast, helps a client get a better business result, whether it's more reach or more sales, more conversions. So the two can be used together in parallel to a greater effect.
Adam,
yeah,
yeah.
I think my answer may be not all that dissimilar from Justin's, right? I mean, look, at VIZIO, we've stood up our own analytics team over the past year and change. We're delivering deep dives into reach frequency, measurement solutions, conversion analysis, tune-in analysis, where we have a specific skill set. There is a depth of perspective that you will likely only get into our platform when you work with us and you get access to our first-party data. You've seen, VIZIO and Inkscape's role in things like OR, Open Addressable Ready. You look at the way we've helped to power multiple measurement stacks and analytic solutions in market. We absolutely believe that interoperability is key. The goal is to drive the entirety of the industry forward. I think the reality is different advertisers have different needs, right? We've taken a position that not only can we deliver you insights into business objectives, but we can also help you partner with some of the best in class platforms out there. Every advertiser and every agency has a unique perspective on it. I think to Dan's point, I mean, look, we all have a responsibility to drive the industry forward, to continue to help advertisers and agencies balance the understanding of streaming first audiences and what that means for buying. I think to sort of one of the prompts of sort of a syndicated research tool for planning and sort of validating audiences across platforms. I mean, there are some solutions out there that can help you do that today. But I think it still always comes down to a distinct advertiser or a distinct agency with a unique need.
Great. So another thing I'm curious about is you've had industry collaboration from a sales perspective in some instances, right? You have Ampersand with Comcast and Cox and Charter. You have OpenAP with Viacom, Fox, and others. Looking out a couple of years, do you think there needs to be a structure where you guys sell in an integrated way to further this market forward? Matt, what's your perspective on that?
Yeah, I think the answer to that is probably yes. I think that's definitely something that the market would welcome and it would show up for. So, in those cases, we have to find a way to address that demand. But, from an LG perspective, what we've been focusing on is some of our best advertisers are entertainment clients. And they're trying to reach our audience. So LG brings that unique reach. And then we just made a majority stake in Alfonso, and that brings insights. And to some extent, some scale opportunities as well with some cross-screen activity. So I think all the companies in this panel are addressing this topic in one way or another. LG has its way of doing it, and all the other companies have their way of doing it as well.
Anybody have a different opinion on that?
Well, what's interesting about the entities you described, Howard, is you could make the argument that they were created in order to help pave the way of a traditional ecosystem into the world of audience. So it's different about the smart TV ecosystem is that we operate on an audience basis now. We track performance, we provide insights. So that's not our need, but I wouldn't say that over time, listen, to make yourself simpler and more accessible, which is I think a lot of what these consortia do, that's always a desire, that's always a need.
So last question, because we have 2 minutes left. You know, obviously you guys had a great year in 2020. You know, I'm sure if you had stats the way Maggie cited some of the Amazon stats, you'd be showing, you know, material growth. As you go to the market today, what's the single biggest objection that you hear to advertising on smart TV platforms, and how do you overcome that objection? Dan, why don't you start?
Sure. So I think one of the biggest things is really getting a direct relationship with the consumer. Not all platforms, not only within TV, but across other mediums as well, have a direct consumer relationship. And so that means a profile with an understanding of who is in the home and a opt-in and deterministic data set that can be used for targeting and for measurement. And so the area that we've put a lot into in education is understanding that if you don't know who the user is and you're just trying to infer signals, you're ultimately guessing on targeting and attribution. And ultimately, that means things like getting accurate reach and frequency measurement, accurate matches to third-party measurement and data providers, and being able to understand true cost per unique reach and cost per acquisition becomes muddled. It's sort of like, you know, having a passport without a photo on it. And so that's been a key area where advertisers are really trying to understand the difference in the direct consumer relationship and the login profiles that exist across the ecosystem.
Got it. Who else? What's the objection and how do you overcome it?
Yeah, I would say it's less of an objection and more an education, right? I mean, nobody knows more about what happens on my screen than I. Again, I own the hardware, I own the entire stack, and I own the data. So it's more about educating brands on what that reach perspective is, helping them understand the unique characteristics of my audience and their behaviors. To your point, in 2020, the trend that was already in play of streaming first, the major accelerants that drove that even further and swung that pendulum. So I think it's more about educating brands as to what are the unique aspects of my audience? What are the unique behaviors? How do they integrate? How do they learn? How do they understand more about the consumer journey on my platform from the time they power that television on to tapping into my streaming service, an app partner, buying a piece of content? And then what does that mean from an ad impact standpoint? You know, that's the biggest component, I would say, is again, not an objection, but an education to help brands understand how a streaming ad on my platform impacted the bottom line for them somewhere along the way. And we connect those dots for them.
Got it. Matt?
Yeah, you know, I think there have been some great points. So I'll try to find some new ground here. You know, first of all, you know, a lot of times when we talk about advertising, we talk about video. We don't talk enough about display. A lot of people have problems with all the different sizes of display advertising that's on these platforms. Dan made some great points about targeting, and you know, one of the things that we have to focus on as a company is providing all the opportunities for our advertisers to target using LG's data to reach these audiences and with their behaviors, which are largely moving towards streaming. So, you know, if our streaming partners are also advertising on our platform, you know, we want to be able to combine those data sets so that we can hit those objectives for those partners. And that's been where we focused our energy over the past few years and where that's going to continue coming up.
Got it. Last word, Justin.
What we sometimes hear isn't the value proposition of streaming AVOD the same as addressable television? And what we find ourselves doing is helping to educate our clients that really the light linear audience that's barely watching any linear and therefore won't see addressable and the audience that's cut the cord or just doesn't watch linear adds up to about half of the available audiences at any given time. So as much of a powerful combination as linear and addressable are at reaching that heavy and medium linear audience, that's still missing half of the audience that they could be reaching, or customers that we see really high engagement rates and buy rates within. So it's really educating about that light linear and cord cutting audience and how that complements any television advertising plan, and how it's only really reachable through a streaming environment.
Got it. All right, well, guys, we're getting the hook. So thank you. I'm sure you guys are all going to have a great year, and thanks for taking time to be on the panel.
Thank you, Howard.
Awesome. Thank you, Howard.
Thanks, Howard. Thanks, gents.
Yeah, thanks you all. This has been a terrific education on the emerging business of the TV platforms. Well, welcome to the new world of more walled gardens. So it's going to be a really interesting space to watch in 2021.